Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Um, let's see here. So, happy birthday, Wendy. I decided to do this last minute. And if you could just confirm you can hear me. Okay, so thank you. It should just be known that the first person, as soon as you hear my voice, if someone types, yes, I hear you, then it'll just be automatic, because that's my biggest problem is I don't know if I'm added to the screen, and I've talked for several minutes before without realizing it. So great, thanks for joining me here. Happy birthday to Wendy. It's her 46th birthday, and it's just time to sort of reflect on where we are in life and have a outlook for the next year of your life. And hers is not looking very good, unfortunately. It's not good for her right now. She's with her boyfriend in Austin with her children. Mom's incarcerated, awaiting her murder trial, which may be continued, which we'll talk about. Her brother is in the prison system. He's being hunted by the Latin Kings. He's got a bounty on his head, and he's a wanted man. He's greenlit all of the phrases. He's not in a good situation, and he is in South Dakota, far, far away from visits from his family. Harvey can't drive there. Harvey is spending his 80s shuffling in between prison and jails, between visiting his son and his wife, hoping that he is not one day arrested and that his daughter is not one day arrested, probably praying for his other son to reach out to him. But probably none of that will happen. And it's just a very, very sad, it's not a good situation for the Adelsons. And I just wonder what Wendy wished when she blew out her birthday cake. So let's just go. So that's Wendy celebrating her birthday. Let me see, did I include it? Yeah, here it is. So I just wanted to go over this slide first. Many of you have seen this on social media. We'll say hi to people first. Hey, Jared. Hey, Katie Cool Ladies. Nice to see you. Mick Rambelon's here. Knows a lot about this case. Mick Rambelon impresses me with her skills. Knowledge. Bichon Mama. Top Cat. What's up with these 80K emails? Yeah, I'm going to go into that a little bit later. Dr. Reinhardt. Roxanne. Donna's narrow ear canals. Yelaster Productions, Ryan Patrick Casey. We know Ryan. Ryan's the one who found that Donna was on the Wheel of Fortune and sent it to me. So that's how that got out. It's because he dug on the internet and found that and then did that clip. So he's the one that gave us Mischief Maker, introduced that into the game. Let me see who else I've missed. Harold Dahl. Five Car Five also knows a ton about this case. Mrs. Adelson, aren't you angry that your mom and brother have known what happened to your kid's father since day one? That's your brother's defense here. I think she asked to restate the question. Her brain couldn't comprehend that. Couldn't comprehend that. She's confused. She's confused. It's a lot to process. And Georgia goes, why don't you try to separate them? Try your hardest. Okay, so on here on the screen, on Wendy's Zoom, wishing her happy birthday, you can obviously see that Harvey's in the background celebrating, stoic as ever, but he's there. I guess he made the trip to Austin, and we've got Donna, and I guess the jail gave them a pass. You've got Donna and Charlie there, which is even funnier because they're not allowed to speak with her, but they're on the Zoom. You got her divorce lawyer who testified for the defense. Charlie's defense said it was Wasn't that bad of a divorce. She thought relocation had a chance. Then you've got, all 3 people, her friends that have come out in the public and supported her in one way or the other. You can see that her friend that came to her that sat with her in Charlie's trial is down there celebrating her birthday on Zoom. Then you see the middle bottom square, that is the woman who came with her during the retrial and sat with her and John Lauro. And then you see Tova, her friend, who is a professor and a researcher who specifically studies the importance of fatherhood in children's lives, and she's an advocate for fathers, which is hilarious, and those who have followed me know that. So, and she's also gone on 2020 and lent her face and her voice to support the Adelsons and Wendy, and said that she has witnessed Dan being emotionally abusive to Wendy. So there we go. And she's an advocate for fathers, which is rich. So there you go. You got them all. The two bottom, well, the middle and the bottom right, they're professors, and the one on the left is a lawyer. So there they are, the good friends. And what's really funny is the one, her name's Jenny. She's at the bottom middle, and she is a professor. You can hear on the wiretaps in 2016, Donna and Charlie are talking, and they're talking about how she comes down from New York because she was, I guess, a professor at NYU at the time. And they were talking about her friend Jenny comes down and pumps her with all this bad advice about how she should, wait for someone that she truly, loves, and basically saying that she shouldn't settle for Dave. And how she comes down for the weekend from New York, and how she just basically, and Charlie's like, why is she always coming down? Why is she always coming down? And Donna's like, well, she comes down, she's single and she just wants to get a weekend, wants a break. But they're like kind of disparaging her about how she just pumps Wendy with all this shitty advice about how she shouldn't settle and wait for someone that she really likes, and not to settle for Dave, and how that they're upset with her for that, and how she's always kind of freeloading, coming down so much to Miami. So it's just really funny. And then, we know about Tova because she's been in the media supporting Wendy. 2020, ABC's 2020. And then everybody saw the most recent in their mind is down there. That's Morgan. That's the one that was like kind of acting like her bodyguard when she came into court. So there they are. And, the top people. So there she is, celebrating her birthday. So going back here, what we're going to go through is, again, we just did the happy birthday, Wendy. Also just wanted to point out, because one of the things that I remembered about Charlie is that he's been incarcerated for 3 years now. And that's important because we have to think about how he's feeling, what his mindset is, what's going on with his appeal. He still could be impactful in this series of events of future prosecutions. And we've seen that he's thrown some monkey wrenches into the process already. So keeping tabs on him, and just realize that. And one of the reasons why that came to my mind is he just celebrated an anniversary of being, incarcerated and property of the state, is because he was arrested right before Wendy's birthday. If you can remember, it was the series of events went, the Markells met for the first time, I think in a yogurt shop with the boys. They met with Dan's sons for the first time on 4/20. You had Charlie arrested on 4/21, and then you had Wendy's birthday on 4/22. And what's really funny is I heard that she went out to Monty's and celebrated her birthday with her boyfriend and some friends. She still went out the day after her brother was arrested and celebrated her birthday, like a true fill in the blank. Then we're going to talk about how Donna tried to disqualify Judge Everett, and for reasons we don't even know, which I'd be love to ask you guys what you think. What possibly they have on what grounds did they try to disqualify him? Then we'll talk about how Katie was deposed and sort of speculate what that was like. And then the motion to continue hearing was set today, and it's set for 8 days from now. So now it's about a week away, for April 30th. And then I have Donna's event logs just for her jail logs for what's been going on with her recently, and we'll go over those, and that's about it. So first I just wanted to also address, before we get started, the shooting at FSU. It's very sad, and very much things affect the community when stuff like this happens in a small community. Just like, when Dan was murdered, it sent shockwaves and scared a lot of people and really made everybody lock their doors and just sort of change the mindset and the mentality of the town. It's got a lot of universities, and there's a lot of people coming and going in Tallahassee, but it does still have that small town feel. I know this. I did a couple years of high school there, and I went to FSU all 4 years. So very much know the feeling of the town, and something like this really affects it. And so also made me think about this post. And also I know somebody who is a teacher, a professor at FSU, and they had one of their students was shot. So it's a small town, and stuff like this really infects the mindset and the community. So it's very sad, but it reminded me also of this post that Wendy did that I want to share with you, that I pulled up, is that she put out, this is a post she did on Facebook, November 20th, 2014. So this is just months. This is the going into the winter after the summer Dan was murdered. There was a shooting, and I think this happened in the library. Someone came in and shot people, and the gunman was killed and 3 people were injured. And Wendy took the opportunity to post, "Another senseless tragedy in Tallahassee. My heart goes out to the victims and their families." So her mom and her brother knew at the time Wendy was posting this. Her mom and her brother knew what happened to Dan, who really killed him. But Wendy was living under this victim mentality, not knowing anything. Ignorance is bliss. But if you think back to this time, it's crazy that the defense is, well, I am of the personal belief, and many people also probably hold this belief, that she was very aware that this was happening. This was the answer to all of her problems. And I think that they, as a family unit, Wendy included, orchestrated this. And Wendy kept her hands clean because she would be the one most suspected and the biggest beneficiary, of course, the one closest to the victim. And I think her mom and her brother sort of moved all the pieces. But I think she very much was aware and knew, and could have stopped it. But I think that it just shows, I don't know, just shows how blatant she was. And now the narrative has changed because enough evidence has come out that the families had to adjust their story. And now the story is that they were extorted by Charlie's girlfriend's baby daddy at the time. And that they just drove up because they heard that Charlie and Charlie's sister hated her brother, her ex-husband. Charlie's sister's ex-husband, they hated him, so they were going to go up and kill him so they could extort him instead of just robbing the family. It makes no sense. And it just shows kind of what a fraud, in my opinion, it shows what a fraud Wendy is, that she would play the victim like this so blatantly. Why not just keep quiet? And it further, she does the podcast shortly after this, the writing class radio, where she said, "My latex ex-husband shot in the back of the head by a professional killer," all that whole saying her dad had brain cancer. He didn't. Harvey did not have brain cancer. He had a benign tumor in 1999 that was removed successfully. No chemo, no radiation. So it just goes to show. Happy birthday. So back to Charlie. Yeah, he's been incarcerated now. He was arrested on April 21st. So he just had his 3-year anniversary in jail. Just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, I wonder, he has not had freedom for 3 years. He's in South Dakota because there's threats on his life. But I looked up here, tonight, right before I got on here, I pulled up and looked at his appeal. And it looks like something was filed here on the 14th of this month. It says, "Notice of pending motion, correct sentencing error." I don't know what that means, and then if you go click on the attachment, it just says that there's no attachment available. And in this instance, it's likely because it needs to be reviewed and approved before it's posted online. But I don't know what that means, but obviously, I hope that that's not something that Ufferman is throwing back in, read the sentencing error. Notice a pending motion. So does that mean that Ufferman is going to file another motion instead of the appeal? I just don't know what that means, but it's something and it's recent. So that's what's going on with this appeal. If anybody knows, drop in and let me know, or in the comments later. I don't know what that means. I guess we have to wait and keep checking to see what that attachment says. And then there's Katie, who was deposed yesterday. So she came up to Leon County, was deposed, and then a lot of you have the notifications on Vine link where you can sign up to get notifications when inmates come and go. And a lot of people were getting notifications for her yesterday. I got them. And she's back in Lowell now. So wonder how that went. So they're still going. They're still having depositions. I know that they've canceled Mary Hall, but Katie took a nice little trip yesterday, got out of Lowell, got to go on a road trip and come back up to the courthouse, which is a turf that she is familiar with. Someone's telling me to check out Mentor Lawyer's recent video. He probably, I will. He probably addresses the appeal. Jared says, if Wendy was not involved and did not know anything, why hasn't she gone to visit her brother and mother in jail who have been falsely accused? Shouldn't she be supporting her family members? Well, I don't know if she can with her mother because she's a co-conspirator, and I don't think she can with her brother. Maybe she can, but we heard that on the phone calls post Charlie's conviction that Donna was saying that Wendy really wanted to speak with Charlie. She was telling him she really wants to talk with you, but the lawyers, they've got to, she's got to figure out the lawyer stuff. But she really wanted to. And then you heard Charlie say to Donna in some other call, he was like, well, we know Wendy's not coming to visit me. So this is kind of like a newish picture of Katie. She looks pissed off. She's got a very sour expression. And so I went and looked at Katie's appeal, and the last thing, it's been sitting since the end of February, last day of February. It's just been sitting the reply brief, and it's all about Wendy's deposition and how that wasn't handled properly. So we'll wait to see until they reply. Then also, I don't know, does anybody have any thoughts about this? What's your best guess? On what grounds could they try to disqualify Judge Everett? I was really scratching my head about this. It doesn't say. It seems like Judge Everett answered it pretty quickly. But how could they disqualify the judge? And it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to find out because the original motion is under seal, which is they're keeping a lot of stuff under seal now, ever since that clerk's error, releasing the transcript of the in-camera hearing about Robert Adelson's potential testimony or deposition. They've kept things under seal. So, because Judge Everett put in an order saying, like, tighten up. So, but I mean, why? Does anybody ever goofed on the conflict issue? Maybe, Julia. Maybe they're saying he didn't safeguard the process enough. I don't know. Does anybody here? I haven't been watching many of the other shows. Has anybody seen what any other commentators have said. In my opinion, Roxanne says they want to change a venue, new judge. Yeah, they did file in the docket I saw, but there's no supplemental information or nothing to click. They did file the exhibits and the motion for the change of venue. And I think they put a bunch of research as to why they don't think they'll get a fair shake in Tallahassee. But again, can't see any of that. Yeah. Audrey says maybe because he put her son away. Maybe. Yeah, everybody loves Judge Everett. It was so funny as there was one comment that comes to mind where I think it was in response because he was up for this appellate position, this prestigious position, and he did not get it to be an appellate judge. And I remember somebody wrote, like, they liked Judge Everett so much that if he were to give this person left a comment on YouTube, I believe, that if Judge Everett were to give him the death penalty, he would be like, all right, I think that's best for everybody. He's such a relatable judge with his hearty laugh. Someone wrote, Jared, imagine how annoyed Everett must be with Donna and her team. Yeah, that's the other thing. Why would you risk pissing off the judge by trying to disqualify him? Right? That's just kind of, he's already, very annoyed, be quiet, Miss Adelson, with Donna and her outbursts. They've already been so frivolous and annoying. I wonder why. On what grounds they would try to get him disqualified. Kinsella said, Tim loosely referenced September and a new judge. Interesting. I wonder why a new judge. Likely because Donna asked them to. That's a good point. They're just throwing a bunch of shit against the wall. They've gotten everything denied. We're still waiting on those 7 other motion and limines to come in. Jared says, Donna has lost all emotions, doesn't realize where this is going. Yeah, I mean, she just has that mentality, and it makes me go back to the fact that she was thinking that Charlie was getting off and getting acquitted and that his trial was going really well. And even up to the last minute, it was all positive talk with Charlie. And I know that because now enough time has passed, and I don't talk much to Brianna Price anymore, but I was having some back and forth with her. And one of the things she did tell me was that Donna was all positive. It was like all positive talk, even behind the scenes, about Charlie getting out and this going very well for them. It wasn't that was her mentality, and that's what she was conveying behind the scenes. And you even heard her on those post-conviction calls where she was talking about how she was packed a suitcase for Charlie and was renting him a hotel room. Like, she was so delusional. There wasn't even a percentage in her mind. That's how irrational she was about this. And so you've got to think that she's still that way. I mean, she probably is. I just don't know. I just don't think we're dealing with a irrational person. So, yeah, I just don't think she does realize. Dr. Reinhardt says, with this motion, it's hard for me to believe that Donna is as delusional as Charlie about her chances to win. Yeah, maybe she's just, that's why she knows she's going to lose, so she's just trying everything she can. McRambleon says, they're trying to remove him over something related to Rashbaum's conflict, Tim said, but immediately denied. So it wasn't weighty enough to even argue. Okay, so I guess Tim has gotten the down low. Yeah, that's the other thing, Roxanne. They wanna delay this. They know they're doomed. That is, and when they yeah, that was the first I was someone mentioned to me that I was talking to behind the scenes that when this was first brought up and I was having communication, someone first said to me, "There this it seems like an effort to get this delayed." Is what this is. Calais says, "Maybe they think a new judge not familiar with the case will be more favorable to Donna." Maybe. I just don't I was upset when Judge Everett came and on the scene because that this is a 3rd judge now. It really does. I make the reference, it's like my 3rd stepdaddy. It's like when Bewitched came in and then there was a new Darren the next season, dad. It's like they switched characters. I don't like that. I want something stable, something familiar. I don't like the unknown. So I wanna keep him. And he's fair. I mean, he ruled a lot in favor of the defense. Judge Hankinson was very pro prosecution, and I think that, Judge Wheeler was a defense attorney at some point, and so I think that, he was also very fair-minded, and, I think that Judge Everett is too. He ruled a lot for the defense. Exactly. The jury put him away, not the judge. Yeah, his laugh and demeanor, he's no nonsense. Okay, John. Um, John's followed this case a lot and has a lot of comments, good comments on the case. Wendy knows that she will stay out of jail as long as Donna remains unconvicted. Makes me wonder if she's somehow behind the motion continue. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that was so frustrating about Katie is that kind of it did feel, and it may have been sort of like the strategy for Katie's defense was to delay because it was gave them the ability to argue how long an innocent person has stayed in jail, so therefore sh she must be innocent that she was go through all of this and, wouldn't give the state what they wanted. And then also, memories got fuzzier and witnesses weren't as strong. We've seen Luis Rivera get less strong, less convincing the more time goes on, more mistakes. So Isom wasn't even in the main investigator on the originally is not testifying anymore, so it does hurt the case, but then more evidence comes out, right, as technology gets better. So there are pros and cons, but what really does is that every time there is a delay, it's one more it prolongs. If they're going down the chain by this one by one way of prosecuting the case, it does benefit greatly the people who have yet to be brought to justice. And it did buy Charlie and Donna a lot more time, years. COVID didn't help, of course, but it bought them a ton more time, years to be out, raising the boys, living their life. Yeah. It was really rich for Fulford to move to disqualify him. Yeah. Especially after she was a judge that was forced to require because of a permanent disability. Yeah, time with Tara. Donna probably demanded it against their advice. Yes, they were probably like, "These are your options." But you know how you normally go in and you give some like business, you give options, but you give like the aggressive one, you give the conservative one, and then give you the one in the middle that you actually want to take or do. And they're probably giving them all to her. She's just choosing the most aggressive option each time. Yeah, everybody loves that red velvet cake anecdote that he made, Judge Everett, Julia. Will Harvey and Wendy talk to each other at Donna's trial? I don't know. The dynamics will be very interesting because you'll have two Adelsons in the gallery. That hasn't happened before. We know that Charlie was chastised from flirting with his sister by Rashbaum, the last trial, his trial. Hey, Miranda B. Miranda B is a Tallahassee native, someone I've met in person and that I met at the last trial. Tim said that, and actually Miranda B, well, I won't go there, but Miranda B knows a lot of people. Tim did say there would likely be a new judge, but he does think Tim didn't say there would likely be a new judge. So Tim didn't say that, but he does think the continuance is likely. Yeah. Tim, yeah, and people, I guess he said this on SCS. Tim stated his gut said September. He did not seem certain about the new judge. Okay. It's the 80 pieces of discovery that will delay probably until September. Yeah, and also too, it's not the Markells are not getting any younger. They're, Ruth is in her 80s now, and we'll get into the delays in a little bit. Dr. Reinhardt says Everett is probably more annoyed about the Rashbaum conflict, Donna's drug-addicted witnesses, and the stupid place of peace excuse to explain her attempted flight, than about this silly motion. I just think he's very cool as a cucumber, and he's just kind of like, whatever, just let's keep everything above board and in line with the law. But Donna has everything I've seen seems pretty pathetic from the defense so far. So I guess that this motion to disqualify the judge falls within line. It's the 80, yeah. Charlie got 98%. That's right. Donna's narrow ear canals. Yeah. Jared says, Charlie's story made absolutely no sense. Aren't Donna's lawyers telling her this is not looking good? Yeah, and I hope that they told her that she did not do well in her bond hearing with how she went on and got so overly detailed, and the woe is me and the pity party and just how badly that played. Julia says, Tim thinks September favors the state. I wonder why. Everything just gets so crazy because you have school, you have football starting. Katie Cool Lady says, it sucks that once again these trials will likely mess with the Jewish holy days for the Markells. Yeah, that's right. The peak irony of Jackie Fulford trying to get Judge Everett disqualified. She was probably like, hey, if I had to go through it, might as well take some others down with me. Jared goes, remember when Donna's first lawyer, that woman? Yeah, I'm going to talk about her in a little bit. Marcel Descazo, Chief Mac. She really, really ripped Chief Mac a new one. I mean, she got him good. I don't know if she listens to me, but she sometimes shows up in my Instagram stories. And I was like, she scares me. I respect her, but she really went in hard. She's very aggressive at that bond hearing. Yeah, I'm going to get into this. The fact that there's so much discovery after all these years does hint that they may have assessed new discovery, and we'll have to wait and see how the state responds. It could be new to both sides. Yeah, so let me go out of here. Yeah, thank you, Bijan Mama. So true with the new Darren on Bewitched. I remember that too well. Yeah, I used to watch a ton of Nick. I had a TV in my room, and I used to watch a ton of Nick at night, and I would watch all of that stuff, and I used to love Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. And if you really think back, those shows were really screwed up because I was thinking about this. I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched. First of all, back then, all the writing rooms were men, right? There were very few women writers writing TV shows like that. But if you think about those two shows, which I literally watched all of them, but I think it kind of balanced it out because I watched a lot of Designing Women, which kind of was a lot of women writers and it was very strong females. But those Nick at Nights, I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched that I would watch, it was about women who had these powers and were magical, but all they wanted to do was be kept inside and live a normal life for to be like a housewife. Or in I Dream of Jeannie's case, she was stuck in a bottle, literally, and just would grant wishes of her master who was an astronaut or whatever. And then Bewitched, she was a witch, but all she wanted to do was be a housewife and be a good wife. But she had all these magical powers. It was just like, think about that. It's kind of screwed up. I've had 3 stepmoms, T. Kinsella, the redhead stepchild 3 times over. Oh my gosh. 3 stepmoms. Wow. That's tough. You do have red hair. That's funny. Hey, postpartum for days. I've heard that it's rebuttal evidence emails. Well, then that's annoying that it gets delayed, but or the new drummer in the Partridge Family. Yeah, it's very unsettling when things like this change. People, characters, cast and crew change. Okay. Okay, yeah, so we'll get into what we've already kind of moved on to this topic, but yeah, so in a week, we'll have a new hearing. We'll get to hear about all of this. It's 30 minutes long, 4 o'clock on April 30th. April 30th is April 30th. That's a Wednesday. April 30th is a Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And Donna will be there by Zoom, be in the smaller courtroom. And I guess we'll hear it out. 30 minutes, they'll argue it, and then it'll be decided whether this will be delayed. But yeah, so the rumor is, and I think Surviving the Survivor put this out, which makes me think that it comes from Tim Jansen because he is local and he has worked within this court system and with the people that are involved in this case for decades. So he has these relationships. So he talks to them and gets this information. He says there's 80,000 emails of new discovery. And so a lot of this, I just want to click through this and dissect what that could mean. And what I did is I went back to the docket and I pulled all of these affidavit and search warrants that were filed since Donna was arrested and kind of pulled up the devices again to sort of look at them and to see what the dates were of when they had these devices and when they filed when these search warrants were filed. And I don't know the process of how long it takes to extract the data. I don't know how long it takes for these search warrants to be approved or what the process is. But if you look at it, it looks like a lot of these devices goes back. It looks like the last one that was filed for what could have been pulled off the devices that were taken at the time of Donna's arrest or shortly after, they were the beginning of 2024. So it's been a year and a half that they've had to extract. So it is very curious how all of a sudden there is new discovery. And I don't know if anybody or Tim has talked about this on one of the shows, so please enlighten me if they have, but we're gonna go through them and see what we can. Yeah, so yeah, Roxanne, so that's we're getting to that now. They come from the devices, but why now? So that, yeah, that is that is the question. But her emails, right? But her emails. Katie Kool-Aid says, "Wouldn't it be if this is WhatsApp?" Yeah, well, we do know they did get into some of the WhatsApp. Remember that? There was some of that, and we heard about that at a hearing. Okay, this is why. T. Kinsella says, September, Tim Jansen said the better jury pool because more people in town. More students. Well, I guess and more like professors or staff, but I mean, he would know. I just don't know how that would be better. Yep, Tim Murray echoing the same thing. Tim thinks September's better for jury selection. Jane's asking, did law enforcement follow Wendy from the crime scene or just track her phone? I heard, this is just someone told me, I don't know if this is true 100%, but I heard that someone said that they tracked her phone and they drove around. Tallahassee's very small. So if they could find out that she was like north of I-10, Tallahassee people would this would ring more of a bell. But if she was north of I-10, for example, it could get they would probably just drive around to the shopping centers and probably found her pretty easily that way. There's just not that many. Sorry, I'm going through and trying to find you know what? Through COVID, a friend and I started watching Dynasty, and that was really crazy. That was things on that show would not fly anymore. Lenny says, I have an authentic genie bottle in one room that favors the interior. Big fan. Yeah, that must be cool. Okay, so let's go into a little bit more into this. Yeah, they may have crossed Harold. Yeah, they may have cracked some password codes. Yeah, I mean, who even knows what the technology has caught up? But so yeah, let me try to get rid of this. Go to the next thing. Okay, so I went in and I pulled up all of these. And so yeah, so this one, these are the things that they've taken, so we can just sort of think about what could have come. So just to refresh everybody's memory, so this was taken from Donna at the airport. So it says here, seized white Apple iPhone from Donna Adelson on 11/13/2023, right? So now it's June 2025. But it says that just as a reminder of what the language is in all these search warrants, it says information to be seized from cellular devices, digital information including but not limited to subscriber identity modules, mass media storage devices, media data to include picture and video content, text and or multimedia messages, short message service SMS, multimedia message service MMS, mobile chat messages, iMessages, third-party communication application messages, which would be WhatsApp, emails, contact phone book information, incoming and outgoing call information, documents, notes, data, metadata information, calendar entries, passwords, phone application information, wireless network information, stored location data, which that could be even interesting. Think about that. And that's how I guess we got the money drop information of her and Harvey going over to Charlie's house on the day of the murder. Audio files, including voicemails, either audio or transcribed, internet activity to include internet history, internet search queries, internet search results, third-party application content and information regarding the specific cell phone to include subscriber and equipment identity. So that's a lot. That's a lot, all your search information. So that was her iPhone she had that death grip on and didn't want to give Agent Sanford. She fought for that phone. Says, "No, I'm not giving you my phone." Then these were filed in end of November. So this was like a few weeks later. There was a white Apple iPhone seized from Harvey Adelson on the 14th. So again, on the 13th, it was seized from Donna. So this was at the airport. And then the next day when they went to the apartment in Brickell where he was living. And I told you at the time, I was also talking to Bree, and Bree passed on the information that, because Bree was talking to both Harvey and Charlie at the time. And Bree told me that Harvey had a conversation that Bree had to stop talking to me and that I was not a good person or something. And that he was very serious, that she got scolded, reprimanded, she said, for talking to me or communicating with me. And I haven't communicated with her a while. So Harvey, don't be mad. We don't communicate so much anymore. So she listened, but she told me at the time that Harvey was on the phone with Charlie when the FBI came knocking on the door, which is just, can you imagine that phone call of Harvey, being like, "Charlie, the FBI's here. Gotta go." But anyway, so they grabbed that next day when they went to Harvey's apartment and he was on the phone with Charlie, I guess supplementing the role that Donna had, which is being on the phone with Charlie the whole time, entertaining him. Harvey took that role. And we know that probably Charlie was not very satisfied with Harvey being the replacement. But so on the 14th, they took an Apple white phone from Harvey. They took an iPad from Harvey. And then they took another phone, a second phone from Harvey, which was a gray one in a black case on that day. So that's 2 iPhones and an iPad, right? And those were the search warrants filed on 11/29/2023. And then on 12/15, so a few weeks later, they filed again. And I looked, some of these were duplicates because it's again, because you can see that the Apple iPad seized from Harvey Adelson on 11/14. And then, so some of these, I think they just had to resubmit. But the 2 others that were kind of new was the 2 separate MacBooks. And you can see that they have different numbers here. MacBook Pro, and then one that ends in 1M and the other one that ends in Y. So there's 2. And I remember one of these went back to prior to the murder in terms of how old they were. So I think they had an old one sitting around and then a new one. So they didn't take these computers to Vietnam with them. But that's a lot to pull. So this is what we're talking about. But also, again, something new must have come. And I remember back, I think it was in between the retrial of we were waiting for the retrial of Catherine Magbanua. There was a lot of new discovery that was dumped. And I think it was Charlie's iCloud. They somehow got in. And then so there was all this new discovery, which I think prompted a delay. And it was the state that asked for the granting more time because they had gotten some new information they wanted to include, some new discovery. So I guess this happens, and it'll be really, I guess we'll also get the confirmation for real. Although I tend to agree with or believe what Tim says. I do think he has he has the sources, but I do think it's interesting that hopefully maybe some technology was unlocked, and hopefully there is something promising. And while I still, even though I'm hopeful of something like that may happen and the good things that may come out of that, I still think that Wendy was careful, and she's a lawyer, and I don't think she implicated herself in any communications. We've seen how she handled herself even after Charlie's arrest, where she wrote these very lawyerly scripted responses to these emotional texts from her mother after her brother was found guilty. So it makes me think, I know that Wendy was probably very careful and likely protected herself. But still, that's a lot of stuff. That's 3 iPhones, 1 of Donna's, 2 from Harvey, and an iPad, and then 2 MacBooks. So there's a lot of stuff to potentially mine off that. But we'll see. Talk Jury to me says, I smell an arrest coming. It'll be so disappointing, like my last live stream about Wendy. I mean, they have enough, whether they can get a lock. I know that they want to have a high percentage of getting a conviction, probably somewhere like 90%, right? Because they only have one shot, double jeopardy. But there's at some point they're going to have to go, and that's going to be after Donna's trial. I don't think, I mean, enough is enough, and it worries me because Charlie's appeal is going very slow and being very delayed. And so having Charlie running out of the hope of a successful appeal is getting delayed, and having him flip would be something that I think is probably be the most surefire way to get Wendy if he does, and him, Donna dying or Donna and Harvey being gone and the loss of a hope of an appeal makes me think that he would potentially flip on Wendy. But his word against hers, I mean, I don't know if he has anything locked in a safe somewhere, but I mean, it's just at some point they're going to have to bite the bullet, and we will forgive you, Jack Campbell, or whoever is elected after you, for just trying. Just try. The public wants it. Take your shot. You're going to have to. So those are all the devices. McRambleon says, I wonder if the location info in every search item term and every bit of data counts as a piece of discovery. Old people may get new email account, but not get new iCloud. Isn't South Beach GMA? Yeah, a newer find. Yeah, that was the newer address for her, South Beach grandma. But also too, you have to think they had so much time. They had a lot of time to be out consulting with, a tech person to come over, and they had Dave Attell, which I don't think he would, hopefully he wouldn't do anything. He's a security expert, information security expert. They could have asked them and gotten protocols in place to kind of hide all this stuff or destroy stuff, more importantly. I mean, they have the money and they have the connections. So Wendy's boyfriend, I believe, is in IT. And we could kind of hear that with how Donna was querying him and trying to get him to come over to help with some stuff in those post-conviction calls. But then he canceled because he had a meeting or something come up. Remember that? I guess Dr. Reiner said Charlie was not totally stoned and half asleep when the FBI came, as we were told. Yeah, it was the day after 420. As Cellbrite improves, they may run new search too. Yeah, maybe. A whole ton of stuff we probably don't know. The FBI is involved in this case. Send it to Quantico. Donna's very narrow ear canals. The fact that they kept old devices is pretty inept on top of all the other ineptness. Yeah, I mean, they did make a lot of mistakes. Adam Gonol says, I bet she's out on a fancy date tonight with someone who barely knows the real Wendy, if one exists. Hope it was worth it. Destroy the whole family, mess up 2 good kids, all for what? Yeah, she has a boyfriend, and I know who that is. His first name is George, and I guess that's out there. But he has 2 children who are from a previous marriage who are now adults. I think he's in his mid-50s. He, was working in, professional corporate IT from what I remember, and there is somebody who follows this case for a long time who I know and trust, who has a private investigator's license, and they just ran a very minimal basic they put his name into their systems, and they were able to, like, pull out where you can pull out where they have liens or loans or things like that, and they were able to see that he, actually had rented the house in Austin and, had signed the lease. He had whatever, his name was tied to that address, and they were able to pull that in their database when they did the little just to find out more about him, as a case sleuth, and they, sent me a copy of the report, and so I won't show it because it's personal, but you do see that it is his name, and it shows that he is the person who rented it was rented the Austin house that Wendy lives at, which I would never give that address or anything, but that has been shared and is out there. And I think it's actually public. Like if you like it's in search websites now. I don't think she made much effort to make that address private, but he was the one who rented it according to this background search that was done, and it gave his name and his age and all of the addresses that he's lived at, and it did show the that he did rent in the summer. He rented the address of the house, the address that matches where Wendy is at, and so he rented it. So Wendy didn't rent the house; he did, and so that indicates that he is there with her. So I think she has a boyfriend, and it's very serious, and I heard from someone who was running around in that, group with Wendy, with the mommy group or whatever, that the boys were calling him dad at this point. And his name's George with a J. It's not a billion. I know there's a lot of rumors that he was a billionaire's son because the billionaire that Wendy worked for, had a son named George, and someone just put that together and just ran with that. I don't know who started that or how that got out. Such a persuasive rumor, but it's not. It's somebody else. Lynn says Wendy played her family, her entire family. I don't know about that, but it's public documents. If you look on the trust, the Adelson family trust, it's everything goes to her. And we know that she is the person who is the executor or whatever of Charlie's son's trust fund. So she will be left holding with all the purse strings. And we also know from the wills that were done, I think in 2020, that they made an explicit line in there to keep Robert Adelson. He would get nothing. So we know Charlie can't get anything. He's in jail for life, prison for life. So Wendy gets it all. Gets it all. Kitty Kool-Aid says this new evidence could pressure Donna to talk. Yeah, let's get into, I think next is her jail logs to see how she's doing. That's why one of the reasons I wanted to see how's, if we could derive anything from how she's doing, or how, like, a potential delay or this new evidence discovery dump, how she's acting. So I got her most recent jail logs, and it's just for a very brief period of time, 415 to 421, but it gives a little slice of life of Donna in jail. And if you look here on 415, she refused to shower and exercise, which is interesting, right? So that's interesting. And then you go back, she gets her lunch tray and her medication. And then it says later on 415, contacted inmate to give her an opportunity to shower. She stated, maybe later, I didn't get enough sleep last night. So something's going on there. On 415, she's not doing well. But then she's doing all right. A little bit later in the day, physical appearance is okay, attitude's okay. Remarks is that she's resting on bunks, receiving meds. And then you go here and You go, she had her shower, had her exercise, and then you look here on the 18th, she says, "Inmate, Adelson's earphones exchanged due to them being broken." So she's, like, getting things. And then look here, it says, next is that Sergeant Mack, that's Chief Mack, remember? That's why I said we'll get back to this. Um, her attorney, Marisol Descalzio, if I'm saying that correctly, remembering that correctly, it says that Chief Mack came in, entered, and gave inmate Adelson a new pair of headphones. And then later, the following, the inmate is in the day room speaking with Dr. Carla Sapp, Dr. Sapp, escorted by Lieutenant Snow. So she's seeing the psych doctor. Then later that day, she got 2 new clean blankets. She had a shower. And then here on the 17th, inmate Adelson was asked if she desired to go to medical for blood work, and she verbally refused to go. And then more here. It's having her meds, getting her tray, doing okay, sitting on her bunk writing, resting on her bunk quietly, movement observed. So she's just chilling out, showering, eating, taking her meds. And the only thing that I saw that was unusual is her refusing to get her blood work here on the 17th. And then seeing the psych doctor on the 18th. But then her refusing to get the shower and not feeling well on the 15th, or saying that she's not doing well. Descalzo. Dr. Zapp. Chief Mack. Even after Wendy's convicted, I hope Fancy goes over her prison records. Yeah, when will this ever stop? That's the question. CBMCDI says, when Georgia asked Wendy why the $1 million offer wasn't made to Dan, Wendy said it was because she didn't want to. If they wouldn't offer Dan money without her, then they didn't order the hit without her. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, she was, I think I remember Mentor Lawyer first making that point, if I remember correctly. It's when it first, how I first thought about it, is that I kind of remember his videos where he says, excuse me, where he says that yeah, she was incorporated in all their other plans to help fix the problem or help get her what she wanted, with regards to Dan and her move. Like, why wouldn't they, incorporate her in this one? They're a team, right? Remember in the emails, we're a team. We can't do this without your help. What up, Shodrick? Man, I ain't seen this lady out here for a minute. Yeah, I took a bit of a break, but I'm back now. My auntie be watching these shows. Yeah, they're very popular. Got a lot of commentators. A lot of commentators. How's it going in Tallahassee, Shodrick? Things all right down there? Besides the shooting, whatnot? Everybody's saying hi to Shodrick. And this is the real Shodrick, because if you go to his channel, you can go and you can subscribe. He's got videos on there that shows that it's clearly him. He's uploading videos. So it is authentic, because unless someone that says his twin acting like it's him posting videos, but I don't think it is. It does seem like it's an authentic account with more videos of him. Tattletale says Shodrick. Manjeezy says, Shodrick, did the guys sound like they're expecting a woman in Tallahassee to pick them up, aka Wendy? Yeah, Shodrick, where they said after the, when he shot the gas line, when he was like, yeah, you overheard them kind of saying, yeah, tell her to come get it. What's up with that? Sherry, just go click on Shadrick, if you can click on him and it take you to his channel and just hit subscribe and then come back. But if you like click on him, it should. But anyway, okay, let me see what else I got. Also, thank you, Jane, for this super chat. Ask me, can you answer a burning question? Yeah, Jane, ask it. I'm sorry if I missed it. I just now saw this. Oh, here's one from you. Donna, when Everett asked her high school mascot, hold on, Donna, when Everett asked her high school mascot, she said, "Oh my God, I cannot tell you. It was so long ago. I can't remember." Donna in court, rinse, repeat for every question. Oh yeah, I forgot about that moment. She said she couldn't remember. Let me try to find Shadrick's channel. Shadrick, I hope it's okay if I go to your channel right now. Let me try to pull it up. I think I'm subbed. Believe it. Or at least I thought I was. Oh yeah, here I am. Wait, is that the same one? Oh wait, here it is. There he is. Shadrick, I'm gonna go to your channel. I hope that's okay. What up, Shadrick? The golf cart. Here's Shadrick's channel. See, it's Shadrick. What else we got? I love this one, Shadrick. This isn't you, but I like this video. Frozen? Oh wait, no, there's Shadrick. Oh wait, here. Okay, this one's of Shadrick. Hold on. That's Shadrick. What up, Shadrick?
You know what? It's all this all hanging out, my dude.
They believe it. Just believe it.
Believe it.
Believe it. Hear that? What up, Shadrick? Okay. Go back here. So yeah, so I think that is all I had for tonight. Oops. That's all I had for tonight. Tonight's commentary. Does anybody have any questions? I'm down at the bottom. Let me see here. Yeah. If Wendy wasn't involved, Jared says, she wouldn't need to tell 4 different lies about her drive to the crime scene that morning. Yeah, I mean, she very clearly switched her story, then went back to the first story she told. K-turn. That was a new one. She did a K-turn. She said she went down at the retrial. She went down Centerville. She's like, yeah, I did. And then she, at Charlie's trial, she said that she did a K-turn on Centerville and didn't even go down. So I don't know. Someone talk jury to me says, does anyone know how Jane, the social worker, now views Wendy? Are they still close? I don't know. The last thing that I know is that Stephen Epstein, who wrote that book, Extreme Punishment, and said on Judy A. Legal Focus that he didn't think Wendy was involved after writing the book and didn't include in his book a lot of pertinent details that would implicate Wendy, and or even mention the fact that she was labeled a co-conspirator at that point, and she was. So I think that he put in there that he was emailing around trying to speak to people, and he tried to speak to Jane, and then Jane went and told Wendy because when he got an email from Wendy shortly after. So that leads me to believe that they were still in touch. And I remember right around COVID times, I saw that Jane and Tova Walsh, who was very outgoingly supportive of Wendy in the media and the public, they were friends on Facebook and liking each other. So it made me feel like they were all Wendy, Jane, and Tova were all friendly with each other. And I would assume that they're all in the same camp. But that's all I know. And that's just speculation from social media and whatever. Let me see. Jane says, thanks. You answered some of us, but left the impression they did follow Wendy around. Georgia is holding that closer vest for Wendy. Yeah, I don't know. I do know that I was told that Isom in the beginning believed Wendy or kind of didn't think that she was implicated in his investigation, but I don't know that for sure. He didn't tell me that. That's for sure. And I don't know if the guy that the officer that was at the scene that claimed to see Wendy. I mean, I even remember him like making a mistake that one of Catherine's defense attorneys, I can't remember which one, said that he indicated in his testimony that he thought it was a woman that was driving the van, but like he didn't put it in his report or something like that. He just said he didn't put that detail in his report or something along those lines that kind of discredited him. But he remembered that his wife drove the same car. But I don't know if he got on the radio at that point. He's never testified to that and saying, hey, heads up, I was told to be on the lookout for this vehicle and it just came up and someone get on her tail. I don't think they were even thinking that way. I think it was too much chaos. I think when they realized that they wanted to talk to her and tried to find her, once they figured out the situation from probably the neighbor, the Greiger, the guy who saw the Prius escaping, that they were on the lookout for her. And I think they pinged her phone. I think that's what I was told. And then Tallahassee's, I don't know if you're from Tallahassee, Jane, but if it pings a certain cell tower, there really is only a few. It's not like a huge city. There's, you just go and you look for that car in a few parking, shopping centers. And then boom, you're done. Harold Dole says she also had different stories about providing the grandma's motion to Donna. Yeah, she lied and said that she didn't think she sent it to her. Her mom didn't know about it. And then she was caught with you forwarded it to your mother and 12 other people as well. Mongeezy says, overt act, hashtag, I love it. Was Wendy saying the text to Jan on June 6th after the first failed hit attempt to confirm he'd be out of town for his murder on July? He'd be in town for his murder on July 18th. Yeah. That could potentially be an overt act because she's getting the schedule. But I don't know how complicated it would be to prove that she gave it. Like she could say, I unintentionally told my mom that as we were planning out our summer. And I could unintentionally giving that to Donna. She talks to Donna all the time. Roxanne says, how could she have seen the crime scene tape on Centerville? No way that didn't happen. It did not. And anyone in Tallahassee that the local, and a lot of people don't get, or it's just hard, not that they don't get it, but it's a very easy to grasp that being not believable, being a local. And again, it is further, it seemed like Charlie got that after the fact, and he was really pissed off because he even said things like, shouldn't have had a mailman on the jury. I should have known that. Shouldn't have had a mailman because he would have known that route that Wendy took and that she couldn't have seen the crime. It's very incriminating. And I think that's why I know I took 3 people the last trial on the drive of it. Katie Cool Lady, Judy I took on that drive, and then somebody else, friend that came to the trial. Georgia will catch Wendy in all her lies again. The juries aren't buying one word Wendy's saying. Yeah, that's the thing is a lot from the jury interviews, it's clearly they're not buying it, but it just takes one. And even with Donna, I'm worried about this because being in the courtroom and seeing that male juror he was really making it's hard to convey. I remember even one thing that he was making real, like rolling his eyes and really clearly displaying that he was on the defense's side. It was really shocking. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I'm so grateful that he was an alternate, but that's really scary that someone could come in and derail everything, just one person. And that's what scares me about Donna. Again, I can't take credit. I was talking to somebody about this and they were like, I'm just scared about one idiot dude with mommy issues getting on the jury. It's just they're going to buy it. And it is scary to think that could be a possibility and then having to do it all over again. Just, if you're listening to this right now, you get it, because you wouldn't be listening to me or absorbing me or having tolerance for listening to me. You get it. You would be on the right side of things, but not everyone is rational or reasonable. And a lot of times you just don't know until you know. And it's very hard to pick that out on jury. So I imagine it's very hard to pick that out. Yeah, tattletales. Very lucky. COVID was a huge luck. Grandpa says, Shadrick is going to wake up with 1K subs and be half the way to being monetized. That's funny. Fancy, did you get to see the video Judy and I made on channel last October? Yeah, I caught a bit of it. I caught like this, probably the last quarter of it. I should go back and look. It was a good video. Tail says, I thought the officer said that he called the detective about seeing the van. Maybe. I really don't know. I don't know where I would go to get that. I don't think it was testified. I don't think he testified to that. Maybe I should go back and watch. Jane says, thanks, you answered, but some of us were left with the impression that they did follow it. Georgia is holding it close to the best friend. I think I read that one already. Joseph, I can kind of believe that there's 80K emails because if they and we don't know if it's just emails, that's the thing too. It could be think of all the stuff, like, if you have I have a my old MacBook Air that I just keep around for literally watching or taking, like, if I'm taking it to the beach or I'm taking it, if I have to take it somewhere, I just kind of wouldn't be devastated if it got, nuked, or if I carried it, like, in the bedroom to watch something. Like, it's just kind of like my spare computer. And I just gotta think of all the stuff that they could potentially put, like, in the deleted, like, I have it pretty cleaned out, but just think of all the stuff. I mean, pictures, like, all the pictures I took in New York, f living in New York all the time, on the street, like, 10 years ago. I mean, for 10 years, I mean, that's a lot. Like, all those photos, all those it could be I don't know if it's 80K email, like, it could be more than that. I guess we're gonna find out in 1 week when they have that hearing, and they'll probably go over it all. But and it probably, if you think about it, think of all the emails with tenants that they had. Think of all the back and forth they had, with their patients. Think of all the automated emails that they sent out about, paying bills, or collecting fees from patients. It just could be insurance, going back and forth with insurance companies. Like, it could be a whole bunch of stuff that's so benign and that could be filtered out pretty quickly. Yeah, I did too, CBM. I loved when Georgia trapped Wendy with the forward email. Georgia is great at letting Wendy make a fool of herself. Yeah, and so she got Wendy to say that about the grandma motion, and then she went and did other stuff and then came back to it. And you could see, like, Wendy is, like, get really, like, freaking out very silently. She's really like, "Oh my god," when she starts reading the names, and I can't believe Georgia read the names. That was so badass. That moment and that was, like, probably my best. I should do, like, a highlights reel of favorite moments and edit a video, but that moment was my favorite moment, and then the second moment that was my favorite moment is when, the NFSU. What university did you teach at? NFSU? It was so good. Alright, I'm gonna wrap it up here, try to go through some other Mongeezy, there in 1 week, there will be a hearing on 4:30 at 4 PM Eastern Standard Time, where they're gonna be ruling, or I don't know, know, because Everett doesn't normally rule on the spot. He usually goes back and then files an order, but they're gonna be having a hearing on getting a continuance. Okay, so Julia says, "Jane, the officer who saw Wendy first, he was told what kind of car she was driving." Yeah, we did know that. And when he saw her, he immediately informed Isom. Isom knew Wendy visited the scene. Dreamscape says, Charlie mentioned a phone. Oh, yeah, that is right, Dreamscape. Charlie mentioned a phone that Rashbaum had. I think he mentioned it on one of the calls to Donna. We discussed Charlie's, have we? No, we have not discussed a secret phone. Yeah, so there's that. And then even further to piggyback on that point, Alex Morris, who was Rashbaum's co-counsel, local Tallahassee attorney, after Rashbaum was thrown out, he said in a hearing, he said, I was saying, like, he was talking about, he was trying to make the point how there was a wall set up and how he could continue on with Donna's defense and it wouldn't be a problem. He said, I've only met with Charlie once, and the first thing he asked me is, have you seen my phone? That was Alex Morris. He didn't have to say that. He said that for a reason. I think he wanted to get that out. He probably knew that he wasn't going to be on the case. He'd already gotten his fee. I think he got a flat fee up front, so he was already paid. That was a huge statement. Have you seen my phone? So that was even further on that. Yeah, that's a great quote. Don't forget about that Charlie's phone. Thanks, Harley. It's very nice of you for the super chat. McGrimblon says that they didn't seize any devices from Donna or Harvey until 2022. I think this is likely the state is turning over all the evidence they seized, perhaps already gave to Rashi, and they need to do a new. I don't know. It sounds like this is like something new coming in for all sides. And it probably, yes, involves the bulk of it or the majority of it, more than the majority. I'm probably 95% of it is irrelevant, but they have to hand it all over because the state can't decide what's relevant. Yeah, don't forget about that secret phone. Where's the phone, Rashbaum? Where's the phone? Kitty Clay says, it has to be brand new as the state has nothing to gain by delaying handing over discovery. Yeah. Charlie had a secret phone just to talk to girls, probably. Let's end on this one. Talk Jury to Me says, what a crappy life you have set up for yourself, Wendy. Her next phase of life won't be that fun either. Let's go back to her birthday. Let's end wishing Wendy another happy birthday on the outside. Your family's getting another delay. That's good for you. You got a little birthday present of a continuance. Your brother's appeal keeps getting punted back and back and back. That's also good for you. Poor Harvey. Harvey's got to be at his limit, separated from his love. Because June 3rd was going to be, I think, their 54th wedding anniversary. They were married on June 3rd, which would have been the start of jury selection. So if it gets delayed, he won't see his wife in person on their anniversary. So happy birthday. Happiest of birthdays. And I hope everybody has a good night. Thanks for being here. And yeah, we'll really see next week, or we'll see what comes through on the docket. I'll be watching that and see if we can pull any insights from that or see anything new come through. And yeah, we'll see if this gets continued. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Hopefully this new discovery is good stuff. Wouldn't it be great if it's good stuff? Then I'll be happy to wait. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.